and I trust you are keeping safe as we look forward to the Easter holiday. Special thanks goes to our partners, Tier 1 Center for Learning, NASA, and ESH, who are continually supporting Fanira safety in its quest to help organizations create strong and resilient ESH systems. As we all know, this month it's the World for Safety and Health at Work month, and this is in line with the World Day for Safety and Health at Work 2021 theme, which implores us to draw from the lessons learned and experiences from workplaces as we face the crisis, in this case, the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, now and in future. As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has led to a number of potential ESH risks, such as psychosocial risks, as well as risks arising from new forms of working arrangements. We've all been working from home, most of us that is, and this was discussed in our previous episode on the Spotlight section. If you missed this episode, please visit Fanira TV on YouTube. It was quite an interesting discussion, if you ask me. In light of these issues, our aim as Fanira Safety is to simulate dialogue amongst SHE practitioners so that we can share ideas that take us into the future with vibrant SHE systems. Having said all that, let me take this opportunity to welcome our guest speaker for the day, Mr. Anthony Njaya. So today's agenda, we're going to have the toolbox talk on behavior-based safety, and Teach is going to take us through that. And we're also going to have our spotlight, quite an interesting topic. To vaccinate or not to vaccinate, we want your input as SHE practitioners. What do you guys think? It's going to be very interesting, and Miss Daddy is going to take us through that. Then last but not least, we're going to have the main topic of the day being presented on by Mr. Anthony Njaya on safety culture. Then before we get into today's work, just a few housekeeping rules. Please make sure that you mute your microphone when you're not talking. You may leave your video on, it's okay. And for comments, questions, and answers, please use the chat button. Okay, let's just enjoy. So now we're going to have our toolbox from Teach. Teach, over to you. Teach, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. How are you guys? Welcome everyone. So in our toolbox talk today, we are going to be discussing about behavior-based safety. So behavior-based safety, it mainly focuses on safe behaviors, which contributes to injury or incident prevention. It also focuses on at-risk behaviors, those we also know as unsafe acts that leads to accidents or injuries at work. It also influences the culture of the organizations through the attitudes and perceptions towards safety. So why are we concerned about behavior-based safety? It has been cited by Runsman in 1993 that human beings account for 88% of workplace accidents. So through these unsafe acts, as human beings, we are mainly responsible for most of the incidents that occur at workplace. So if we focus our attention on those unsafe acts, we may prevent or we may drive change before accidents or incidents happens at workplace. As you are aware that for every fatality or severe injury that happens at workplace, there are 10,000 underlying unsafe acts that would have occurred. So focusing on those, I would have taken a proactive approach in preventing accidents or incidents at from occurring at our workplace. Also, behavior-based safety, it drives leading indicators in our workplaces through, it promotes accident reporting, it promotes all those indicators that can prevent accidents in our workplaces. It also promotes engagement between workers and management. That with that cooperation, we can realize changes within our workplace in with regards to the safety culture. Also, which unsafe acts are we talking about? We are talking about using improper methods whenever you're working. That is, you'll be working without using procedures, or also working with inadequate PPE is one of the unsafe acts, or even horseplay. It is an unsafe act, as you can see on those pictures. As you can see on the pictures on our slides, a guy is sleeping on the wheels. I don't know, that's a front-end loader or what, but that's another unsafe act. And that painter, you can see what he's doing. We all know that is not safe. So how do we improve our behavior-based safety in our workplace? The first thing, as she practitioners, as companies, we first have to design a team that will promote behavior-based safety in our workplaces. This team will then identify critical problems within our workplaces. They can use tools such as observation checklists for these. Then when you identify these critical behaviors, you then have to identify the root causes. I guess everyone is aware about the ABC model for behavior-based safety. So you have to identify the root causes that are leading to the attitudes. You have to identify the root causes that are motivating the behavior, and the root causes that are supporting the consequences. And then evaluate and identify alternative actions. That is things we can do to change what we have been doing before. And then implement those actions and review if they are working within our workplace. So if you want to promote this behavior-based safety in our workplace, I have to make sure that there is engagement between management and the workers, that is open communication. Also, you have to establish a reporting culture within your organization so that you will be promoting some of the leading indicators that I have mentioned before. And also, whenever you get reports from our workers, if you are in a managerial position, you have to report timely to those reports. You should respond to any reports that you get from your workers. It also promotes the behavior-based safety. And also management commitment. It is a very important aspect that promote behavior-based safety in our workplaces, and also have to hold people accountable for whatever actions that they would have taken, and consistently enforce the rules. So what are the benefits of behavior-based safety? Because of the cooperation between management and workers, the result is a shared vision of zero harm within the workplace. That is through reporting, the reporting culture that I have mentioned. Also, since behavior-based safety drives leading indicators, accidents significantly reduces within the workplaces. And it also promotes teamwork between workers, between managers, between supervisors, between safety leaders, safety managers, etc. And also at individual level, behavior-based safety promotes positive reinforcement. That is, people will begin to see safety as something that is valuable, not as a priority. I guess everyone always wants to be part of a good story. So that is one of the benefits of behavior-based safety. It also then promotes a positive safety culture within our organizations. Yeah, and with that, I thank you. Is there anyone with questions, comments, feedback, additions, or subtraction on our toolbox talk today? Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
No questions. Thank you, Teach.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Teach, for the, over to you, Mr. Fungai.
So the issue of the issue of behavior is an interesting one. How do we influence the behaviors of the employees or persons working in the field, particularly in instances where often it's easy enough to identify the fault of the individual. But I would like to ask, how many times do we look the role that the organization is played? If we don't provide someone enough tools or procedures, or we haven't trained them, how can we expect them to demonstrate the right behaviors? Or when they do what they think is right and it ends up with the undesired result, what role does the organization play in that? Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Fungai. So now we're going into our spotlight for the day. Okay, I see there are people that want to discuss.
Is everything okay? Are we saying that the behaviors, we do not influence them? We've got enough of an audience. It would be great to get people's feedback on what their thoughts are around behavior-based safety.
Yes, Mr. Fungai.
Hi, Ranga, how are you?
I think behavior-based safety, I'm fine, how are you? I think behavior-based safety is an interesting topic. Being our brothers keepers and trying to break that barrier between management and the field worker. So what I can simply say is that I believe we are all responsible and need to take part in the prevention. I heard Teach talking about 10,000 near misses for every real accident. So we do have many incidences or accidents that occur but could have been prevented through behavior-based safety practice. So my take on the issue is that it is a collective responsibility for us all. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ranga. Any other thoughts around the subject? Has any practitioner ever had an instance where employees have complained that they've been blamed for taking up or doing the wrong behavior in an incident investigation, yet there's aspects that they believe have been left out? So I think during last episode, there was a comment of sacrificing the pawns, which is the workers, whilst saving the queens, which is management or supervisors. Welcome, Mr. Mfunda.
Thank you.
Are we saying all is well in our workplaces? So when we have an audience, we anticipate that there's going to be engagement, but everyone is quiet.
Yeah, Mr. Mpunga, maybe I have a suggestion on what we can do to improve behavior-based safety in our workplaces. Maybe we can talk about that.
Let's go for it.
Yeah. I'm also interested in hearing from our audience.
If we look at that painter there, or the fella who's seated on between the two wheels on the loader or the heavy equipment, now, he's taking a break. The issue is where he's taking a break. How would we classify that? How would we improve such a circumstance with that individual?
Can I say something?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I think this is an improper method for resting, and there should be designated times to rest and a proper place that is safe for that person. Because if those wheels start moving, then it becomes an automatic accident. Probably that leads to loss of life. So to promote the positive behavior-based safety, there is need for fostering known times to rest and designated places to take the rest.
Okay, so I guess the question I'll pose on that is, is it an obvious thing that individual should not be between the wheels? Do we expect the individual to know, or that it should be obvious that they should not rest there?
Probably we can assume, but they may think it's okay. The idea is to have open communication. If I'm a colleague, I should be able to engage with the person to make them understand without feeling bad that they are doing it the wrong way. So I'll go for open communication on that one.
So that is open communication between colleagues.
Yes.
Now, it's not always the case that there's a colleague there, but as an organization, at what point, to be honest, I've seen a number of procedures, and I don't think I've seen one that actually says you cannot sleep on wheels or between two wheels on a loader. How then do we influence those behaviors of the individuals to be able to assess on their own and identify that this behavior is an unsafe act?
Come in?
Yes, sure, go ahead.
I think one thing about behavior is quite complicated because it's a manifestation of quite a number of combinations. If we may look at it, the behaviors are influenced by the environment around. Behaviors also, they may be nurtured, N-U-R-T-U-R-E. So basically, certain things, they can be inborn. Then certain things are influenced by the immediate environment. So you'll find that earlier on, I think it's Ranga who pointed out to the issue of communication, which is quite critical. Because you find that there is what we call organizational behavior and safety behavior. So if the organizational behavior does not talk to the safety culture, or because the safety culture of the organization also defines the behavior. The organizational behavior also, or organizational culture also talks to the safety culture because they've got an intricate relationship. So if you look at that guy who is sleeping there, you will see a lot about organizational culture. Because what comes first is organizational culture, because each organization has got a specific way of doing things, of their structure and so on. And also the background of that particular person. I would want to give a good example of when we were growing up in the rural areas there. you know, would till the lens, and after tilling the lens, you want to rest because your back is quite aching. You find a place where you can anchor it. Huh?
Yes.
So it could be a product of nature, NURTURE. Then we need now to nurture it through organizational culture and safety culture. So basically, communication becomes very critical there. And also, the organization needs to self-introspect itself. Resources may be available where this guy can go and rest. There is a parking bay to put that equipment, and he has got a place to rest after lunch and so on. But you find that because of the background, this guy may choose to go there to anger himself. And some operators, they feel pride to just hang over around his equipment. So it's a misdirected ownership of the equipment. He owns the equipment. It's my equipment. I operate it. I can sleep on it and so on. So basically, those things they need to be looked into, and then we can move forward. So communication, very good. We need also to self-introspect the organizational culture, and then we can now mirror the safety culture that we want.
Okay. So from what you're saying, my understanding is you're saying we should look at where we are, ask ourselves, okay, there is an unsafe act that the individual has taken. And then we introspect, self-assess, and say, why is that happening, or what role are we playing? And then take actions to go towards the culture that we desire.
True. In actual fact, I will quote that one because it's an unsafe act and also may be influenced by unsafe conditions. Then we do our root cause analysis. We term that a near hit.
Yes,
it's not a near miss, because if it is a near miss, it's almost done. So that one is a near hit. We need to do a root cause analysis of that near hit and say, why is it that this guy had to choose to sleep there? But also remember, in investigations, behaviors also come into play. This guy may lie to us.
Yes.
Yeah, he may also lie to us, but we also need to self-introspect, look at history, what happens before, and so on, so that we really nip this on the bud.
No, I like that approach, and it makes a lot of sense. I think the battle around behavior safety will not end anytime soon. You get very interesting situations, and as you said, sometimes you can put all the resources that are required, and you still have those situations. So Vani, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, no, thank you, Fungai. Thanks, Anthony. So just looking at the other photo now of the person painting, we know that's very unsafe and it's very dangerous. He can fall anytime, or if someone opens that door, it can hit him and he'll fall and a really bad accident will happen. But we also need to think, is there a signage outside the door to say that work in progress? So a signage also is important to display when someone is working inside a closed room or environment. Thank you.
I think that's a very good observation. My gut feeling will tell me there's no signage. Just looking at the position of the individual, if it's an organization, obviously there's a lack of PPE. It looks like he's in his home clothes. The shoes he's wearing. And then obviously where he's positioned, he could have easily got a ladder or a short scaffold to do that. So my gut feeling would be there is no signage at the back, and there's a good chance someone will come and open that door and things become really interesting. But yeah, good observation. Okay, so whilst on behavioral safety, any additional comments, observations anyone would like to make before we move on to the spotlight? Okay, excellent. So I guess, yeah, we'll be going on to the spotlight next.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mpunga, for driving that interesting discussion. Now we're going to move on to the spotlight with Dadirai. She's going to be our facilitator, talking about the COVID-19 vaccine. Over to you, Daddy.
All right. Thank you very much, Charity, for the opportunity. COVID-19 is an part of us. Is it?
Daddy, are you there? Hello? Dadirai? Okay, sorry about that. We're having a bit of some technical glitches, but I think she's connected now.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
It's all right. Sorry about that technical glitch. Thank you very much, Charity, for the opportunity. COVID-19 is in our midst, as well as the vaccine, and there's the hype in the streets about the vaccine. And obviously, our work environment is not an exception with regards to the vaccine. Like we always say, ichashika nguva yekuti kana usina kubaiwa, you will not get through the workplace gate. And this has some implications with regards to sharing. We are targeting as practitioners. We are looking forward to what's as much as we're going to give the recommendations. Of course, we have our own reservations. So we want to actually have this discussion such that we go back to the ideal situation we used to. We know that when people report for work, we go for production meetings, we conduct toolbox talks, and everyone wants to go back to that ideal situation. Now, we have different people in our workplaces. We have reservations with regards to their religious beliefs and even about the vaccine should do the implications. So, discussion for everyone. Thank you. Hello.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Daddy. Mute your mic. Okay. So yeah, the vaccination situation is an interesting one for me. Just looking in society, we've had various comments and reasons for why people don't want to be vaccinated. And I think a lot of it is to do with misinformation, but nonetheless, that's the situation. Those are the people that we have in the workplace. So for me, the question is, what are the implications for OSH in the workplace? What role do the safety practitioners play in all of this? Imagine a scenario where the MD does not believe in being vaccinated, but the safety practitioner believes in the vaccination. How does an organization go about it?
Okay, that's very interesting, because obviously this is going to have some implications with regards to the health policy of the organization. And we as the chief practitioners, we there as the advisory wing in the organization. So what is it that we're going to do as chief practitioners? Any thoughts from the floor?
Thank you so much with that particular question and also insight. Basically, the health and safety policy is to ensure prevention of diseases, prevention of injuries, and safety and health of everyone in an organization. Then the MD does not believe. That's culture again. It's quite interesting. You see, everything goes on culture, behavior, attitude, perception. What is the perception of that particular person? What is motivating that perception for that particular person to behave like that, the MD to say, I can't be vaccinated? And that's the phenomenon that is in Zimbabwe because of social media. Particularly myself, I was vaccinated 2 days ago. Why? Because I just wanted to be impeccable with my word that there is nothing sinister about vaccination, because it's just the same like the polio vaccination that we used to get. Now, the issue is you need buy-in. So basically, people make assumptions. And if you find that the organizational culture is hovers around assumptions, then because the other side of the assumption is the risk. We agree to it. You've got an assumption, the other side of the assumption is a risk. If you assume that people are not going to take the COVID jab, then the other side of it is a risk. You need to de-risk that. So basically what you need to do is, first of all, you need to explain how vaccines work. I understand there is a theory that they will affect the DNA. That's the biggest worry with most people, that these vaccines, they've been developed using GMOs, and then they can alter your DNA because they invade the DNA. Yes, there are vaccines which for them to work, they influence the DNA. But these other vaccines, you find that they just operate like the previous vaccines. And just to refresh your memory, when we were growing up, maybe some of you were still very young. My friend Rangai in Ipo Valley there, I think, was still a small boy. We would run away when we see the Ministry of Health people coming to vaccinate us with polio and so on, because that was the early period, because things would not have been explained or communicated properly. So what is important is communication, to say what is the purpose of this vaccine. You want to influence your herd immunity so that it goes up. And then how does it work? It basically is to create some viruses which are weak, so that the antibodies, they'll start to work, and then you have your immune system going up. So basically you find that that's one thing that you need to do. Or you can look also for other outside stakeholders to come and explain. Because remember, Jesus himself was denied in his own town. So the moment you explain, people will say, what can Anton tell us about COVID? So basically, when I went for testing, I publicized that in the WhatsApp group of the organization, and everyone was so much delighted, and to see the perception in people. Basically, I've been receiving calls to say, what are the effects? Are you not ill? Are you not having a swollen body? Are you not having this and that after effect? But I never felt anything. And after receiving it, you only get your, if there are any reactions, it starts to happen between 30 minutes after receiving it and 2 hours. Anything after it is off, you're done. So basically, I think you need to demystify the need.
Yes, I think the point of demystifying is an important one because, yeah, internally, if half the people don't agree and half agree, chances of progress won't be made. Mr. Mfunda, I saw you had your mic on or your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. What I believe in is my opinion, basically, in terms of maybe the senior management, the MD, will not have a belief in this jab or this vaccination. What is very important as safety practitioners, we are an integral part in the business continuity of the organization. And we tend to integrate occupational safety into organizational policies. However, from the slide that you have shown us previously, I think it goes back also to behavior change, the steps in behavior change. As a SHEC practitioner, how much do you understand about COVID? Because you are the occupational person that at times people believe in. One man said the grammage in a statement depends on the level of management. When all people in terms of occupational safety look at you, if you do not show confidence in terms of the COVID-19 vaccination, that means the ways that you pass on to the whole organization disrupts the confidence people have in the jab. So my first step that I believe we should take is understanding, get into the network. Some few days ago, I got into the network of Viral Facts Africa because they are trying to work on establishing the actual facts rather than the social media giving a lot of wrong information and making people confused. They have brought in a new system that would actually bring confidence to the same group of people that are hearing people from the media. So basically, I think in terms of the stages in behavior change, when you start your awareness, how much do you know? Where are you? Because at times we tend to say a lot when we know little. The most dangerous thing that a SHEC practitioner can do is to know little and try to convince everyone. Know much and convince everyone. Then it's also on the knowledge management side. Take your time, read, understand, and don't speak of what you don't know. Then you go to contemplation, you know those stages of behavioral change. You start from awareness, knowledge, contemplation, intention, then action, then you maintain. Let people understand us first, rather than try to convince them when we don't know. That is where I stand. I say, understand this situation first, understand what is COVID. If someone says it's 85%, what does that 85% mean? Because a lot of people are saying what is not correct and what is very wrong. But people are now waiting for the SHEC practitioner, the occupational safety practitioners to explain to them, and we are nowhere to be found. Yes, it can be technical, but take time to read. And when you explain, people will appreciate. And a lot of people want to buy you just because they've now appreciated what you are saying. I thank you, Mr. Fungai.
Thank you for that contribution, Mr. Mfunda. No, it's really, I totally agree with what you've said, that we should be informed. We should do a lot of reading on whatever topic it is. But equally so, I can almost see how it could happen, taking a step back and looking at the journey of COVID over the last, since I think we first registered our first case in Zim, March 2020. Initially at one point, there was a belief or word going around that it's a European disease. It doesn't affect us in Africa. Then we went through the phase of talking of our immune system here in Africa. Then we went through the phase of the Zumbani being the treatment, and all of those. You know, if you look at that journey, up until a period where we had a spike in deaths, and you know, before everyone kind of knew someone that had died, people were just like, okay, this is a disease for the wealthy, and then others will be saying, no, this is the disease for the poor, and so forth. And then we evolved into a phase where, you know, everyone came to a point where they knew someone that had been infected, that had gotten really sick, or had died. And I think at that point, we started seeing more people wearing PPE and all of that. So if I look at that journey up to a point now where we have vaccines, we then had the conspiracies of what the vaccines can do. They want to put microchips in us. They want to monitor us. They want to kill us and all of that stuff. These are journeys that I also imagine are happening in community, but they are also happening in the workplace. And yes, I agree, we should be informed, but equally comes the influence of colleagues at work, and people go home, they talk at home, someone says, I know someone, this happened to them, they took the jab and 24 hours later, they had died. You know, those are some of the challenges that we face. And you are now trying to explain it to a worker who may not be as well informed, but is taking a position of belief from relatives or friends that you spoke to, whether it be at home or at the bar. So I think the challenge for the safety practitioner is a big one. The task is huge, but you can also have a safety practitioner who does not believe in the vaccine. You know, it's not something that's in the workplace, but an outside influence. So I think the task is huge. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the wonderful insights that are coming from everyone. And it looks like we really have a great job to partake in our work institutions, because training has to be done, and awareness as well as communication. And looking at the situation we are in right now, we can't have a training for everyone to be in the training room. So it means we have to find a way of ensuring that the information is disseminated to everybody and everyone is aware of the vaccine, what it can do to your body. And like what Mr. Mfunda said, knowledge is power. We need to do our own research, and it's also good to involve the health institutions to come and at least address some issues around the conspiracy theories that are being shared within the work institutions. You wanted to say something as well? You can chip in.
No, so just to add on, thank you, Daddy. So I want to ask the question, are we going to get to a point where at the workplace, we're going to say no vaccine, no coming to work? What do others think? I'm just posing the question. It has once been said there'll come a point where no vaccine, you can't get on the bus. Would we be in a position in our workplaces to take a similar stance? No one wants to answer that question. I'm sure we're all thinking about it.
Hello, Fungai.
Hi, Mr. Njaya.
Yes, I'm just rushing for a small emergency at our head office. 10 minutes, I'll be back. I will leave everything running. So as you're discussing the issue of COVID, I'll be back for the presentation very soon.
No worries. See you soon. So I pose the question, any takers, guys? What do we think? Can the workplace impose that let's have a vaccine or let's have everyone vaccinated?
Hello?
Hi, Natai. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. So I think for us to have the legal ramifications for saying you can't do this, it's just too extensive. You can't force people to not work or not have access to public resources based on that, unless if they maybe change they bring out some bills and laws and SIs that can support their stance on that. So as practitioners, I think it's all about policies. Who's going to make the policy? That this company here, company X, will make a policy saying that everyone should get vaccinated. There's also the point of what kind of vaccination are you going to take? Because there are more than 6 different kinds of vaccinations out there. So to force someone to get vaccinated when you don't have the right policies in place, to be something that will get you sued by some clever people and people will make money out of you. Yeah.
Look, yes, it comes with implications, but I'm thinking of, we're trying to manage a risk here. 75%, we've got 50 people in the workplace, 38 or 40, or say 45, you're vaccinated. And you've got the remaining 7. You know, from a risk perspective, the fact that those 7 are not vaccinated, it means that we can have a situation in the workplace. Yes, people are protected, their bodies will fight better because they are vaccinated, but we might have an increase in sick people in absenteeism. So that's where I'm coming from. Hello, Natai?
Yeah, that's my point though. If you have the policy, so you first want a legal document that supports you saying you can come to work, and then after that you put your policies in place. So the people, it's like saying before you can start work at our company, you're going to have to get medicals, right? If that person refuses to get those medicals, you will not get employed. That's the same thing here. If you have a legal background to support your stance, it will be fine. But right now, as it is in Zimbabwe, we don't have that. So
no, I see where you're coming from. But the person who refuses to do medicals is not coming onto site because it's not met our criteria. You know, our policy as a company is, if you want to work for us, we've done the interview, great. Now go for your medicals. If you fail the medicals, we've got the option not to offer you. But if you outright refuse to do the medicals, you're not coming onto site. I can see a few other names pop up. Mr. Felix, at one point you had a hand up. Are you still there? Mr. Pikai, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Fungai. I think it all depends with the implications of having COVID-19 cases within your organization. You have organizations that are in the medical sector. There you cannot compromise because we are in a pandemic and the level of exposure is quite high compared to other organizations, especially those that are into manufacturing and all. So at the end of the day, if you look at the trend that is happening in the UK now, there are a couple of employers that are saying if you're not vaccinated, you will not be employed. So if having COVID-19 cases disrupt your operations, at the end of the day, you need to come up with such policies. I like the example that you have given to say, if you have not gone for medical examinations, for example, in the food industry, you will not be employed. You have done the interview, you have done everything, but if you have not gone for the food handlers medical examinations, there will be no work for you. That's the approach that I think will be taken by most organizations as we go forward, especially those that are affected heavily if they record COVID-19 cases. I have last year, when COVID started, we started testing employees. We had employees that said because of their religious backgrounds, they can't be tested for COVID-19. It became a big issue here. And the approach from management was, if someone doesn't want to go because a site is hit by COVID-19, then you have 2-3 people that say, I don't want the vaccine. So the approach that was taken by the management was, if they don't want to be tested for COVID-19, then they should go home. We will deal with them at a later stage, but the approach was probably disciplinary action was going to be taken or termination of contracts. But it took me now the job of trying to convince those 3 employees to say, you need to go for this test. The organization has taken this approach, but for your own safety and the safety of your employees, you need to be tested for COVID-19. So much work has to be done by us as practitioners as far as this issue of vaccination is concerned. Thanks.
No, thank you for that contribution, Innocent. I see, Ranga, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to speak of an actual situation that I learned of from my friend's workplace. They gave time, about a month. We are already in the month for their workers to be vaccinated, and they've been waiting from, sorry?
Now go ahead.
Yeah, they've given everyone time to be vaccinated, right? So they're saying after that window period, if you are then required to come to work, then each time you are supposed to present a negative result on COVID, but on their own expenses now. So they are not saying you are going home or are going to discipline you, but to be realistic, no employee can afford after every 48 or so hours to present a $60 test result that goes negative. So they are slowly pushing people away. So that's the bad part of what's happening. But I support what Natsai said, that there is need for legislation, there is need for a proper way of doing things without disadvantaging the employees. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that, Ranga. So in this instance, the workers have been strongly encouraged to get vaccinated. I mean, $60 every 48 hours. I think the choice has been made for you. Now, we also had Tafadzwa Jabang. Are you there? You had your microphone on at one stage.
Hello, thank you. I answered through the discussion. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Patience, at one stage, I did see your microphone up. You can also use the chat team to make comments, questions, or post scenarios. That's okay. Patience, are you there?
Yes, I am. I was just joining in. Thank you.
No worries. Welcome. We'll give Vani an opportunity. You have your hand up.
Yes, no, thank you, Fungai. So this is more of a question of so what happens if an employee or in that employee's organization that the management say everyone must get vaccinated, but this employee's religion do not allow the vaccination to be done? What can this employee do? But yet the management or the employer said, if you don't vaccinate, then you will lose your job. So what can be done? How can an employee go on with this? Thank you.
Thank you for that, Vani. Anyone want to take the question? It's a tricky scenario. Mr. Mfunda, go ahead.
Thank you, Vani, for that question. I will try, in my own opinion, to answer that one. I know it's a very, very tricky question, but I'll try to be very candid. We run businesses because we need to make profit, and we need also to move in life. The religion bit is very difficult to integrate when we have got much of the podium policies on COVID. Because when you look at COVID, a lot of the policies are more podium based. There is a challenge in trying to put in actual policies. But to be honest, it becomes more of a subjective issue of an organization having the authority to send you home. And it becomes also difficult to now come back into the legal system and try to defend yourself. Like what has been said by Mr. Pikai, the major challenge is you can have a religion, but you can also go home with that religion. I see a situation whereby we will all be forced to take the jab for business continuity's sake, not for any other reason. Because the challenge mainly we are having right now is we have got a high risk in terms of stopping business with this COVID. There is a belief of the third wave. There are a lot of issues coming aboard, and organizations are now forced, even from an international perspective. I watch soccer so much, there are countries that players are now not even allowed to go and play there. You are told if you go and play football, a game there, when you come back, we are going to put you in quarantine, you are not going to play. And we know it will be very difficult now in terms of legislation, it's very difficult, but for business continuity's sake, I believe a lot of companies are going to take that route because you are risking a lot of issues in terms of their business continuity. That's my feeling. Yes, religion, we know, we used to respect religion, but I think from what's coming aboard, there might be concessions in that respect, in that regard of the religion.
Thank you for that contribution, Mr. Mfunda. And you raised some real pertinent points. The third wave that is anticipated to come. We're already seeing it in other countries in Europe, Italy, Germany, and the like. And obviously, the fact that our economy is a little challenged. At some point, yes, I think I tend to agree with you, Mr. Mfunda, that survival will overcome or will lead the path. But I'll let Yokai, you had your microphone on. Would you like to say something? So, I guess whilst we anticipate, I think it was pointed out before that they currently is legally, you are not allowed or you would not be in a strong position to force anyone to be vaccinated. But, in the last week or so, I think we're starting to see the numbers of people being vaccinated significantly increasing. And there was a picture that was circulating the other day where there was hundreds of people at Wilkins. And I think at one stage they had 5,000 people vaccinated in a day, if my statistics are correct. So in the interim, with that situation, what can we do at our workplaces to get people, excited about the vaccine? What are we doing at the moment? Anyone care to share? or are we letting nature take its course?
Mr. Fungai.
Yes, Mr. Ranga.
I'm sure most people are speculating and just waiting to see what's going to happen before we can get a voice into the issues to do with legislation and so on. But in terms of inducing excitement, I'm not sure if a lot is being done. It all goes back to the ESH practitioners having the correct knowledge, having the facts, and distributing the facts to the people. Because as long as people do not have the facts, there's going to be a lot of speculation and a lot of drawing back when it comes to the issues to do with vaccination. Thank you.
Thank you for that contribution, Ranga. Any additions? Hi, Vani, I see your microphone is on.
Yes, no, thank you. I think also social media plays a big part of the to vaccinate or not vaccinate. You know, you hear stories of someone like dying after getting vaccinated. So I think in people's minds, like, why should I get vaccinated if that happened to that person? Because that can happen to me. So I think social media plays that big part too, I guess, for the not to vaccinate. Thank you.
Thank you for that contribution, Vani. Yes, a major roadblock. You are saying one thing at work, as you are speaking, someone's looking at their WhatsApp, and a message comes through that says the opposite to what you are saying. Already, you know, it's a tug of war between what is fact and fiction. Does anyone care? I guess whilst we're here, does anyone care to explain to us how the vaccines work? Anyone who's in an informed position? No takers. What have people heard out there? We like to ask the difficult questions. Okay, I'll have a stab at it. From my understanding, the vaccines work by, you know, they collect some coronavirus cells, and then their strength is significantly reduced, so their power. And when the vaccine enters our body, the idea is to train our antibodies or white blood cells to be able to fight, our immune system to be able to fight the virus. So it's almost like a practice run, preparing for the main match. You know, training camp for soccer in preparation of the main match. It can make you a little sick in the process, or you don't feel any effects. But the idea is that your body has got some preemptive action and knows what to anticipate. And that's how the vaccine works. Anyone agree, disagree, feedback on how that can be explained better? I'm just taking it from a stance where Mr. Fortune said we must be informed. We must be well read. And I must admit that I've done some reading, but I guess relaying that message can be a challenge. Ranga, go ahead.
Yes, I agree with you, Fungai. The whole idea is to prepare the body to fight the real problem. So my worry with the Africans, whether at work or not, is that we sometimes do not even know our underlying conditions. So the problem then comes when you get a vaccination, then you discover that you had other underlying problems. I'm sure that from a home perspective, I think that's our greatest challenge. Some story circulated on social media, which ended up with someone's BP going high, and then they lost their life but they may not have known that they had a BP problem, right? So I'm sure the problem with vaccination is bigger than we know. Are we able to know our underlying conditions before considering taking up the vaccines? I'm sure you agree with me as we grow up that men only go to the hospitals when they are about to die or when it's really, really serious. So we may be walking around with problems, but we don't know. So it would be normal to be scared to go and take up the vaccine, but the whole idea you have explained, that is all about a practice match before the main match. The challenge only comes when you didn't know that you actually had problems. Now you fall sick. That's when the problems start. But the whole idea about vaccination is a good idea. There's nothing bad about the vaccination. Thank you.
No, thank you for that contribution, Ranga. You might not even know that you've got an upcoming match with the virus. You know, that's the challenge with this thing. And opportunities to take up, well, I'll say, I guess they are not opportunities to take up the virus. The risk of coming across the virus is actually quite significant. You know, I did have the virus in January, and to try and pinpoint where I got it, despite the precautions or attempted precautions that I taken, you know, I still got it. And you know, we look at the results of the third wave that we're seeing in other places. So yeah, any other contributions on the subject?
Yeah, Fungai,
ahead.
I so much agree with you, as well as with Ranga. It's just the vaccine is just there to build the body immune system such that it's able to recognize the real virus when it enters into our body, and it's then able to fight against it. But then my contribution or the question I would want to pose to the audience would be, hello, can you hear me?
Now
Hello?
we can. Hello, yes, go ahead.
Hello? Oh, okay. So I was saying my question would be, as SHE practitioners, are we even prepared for the third wave in the workplace? Considering all that has happened in the first and the second lockdown, what precautions have we put in place so far such that we are prepared for the third wave? What preparations do we have in place such that we help each other dealing with different situations in our workplace, considering that we are anticipating the third wave? Thank you.
Thank you for that contribution, Dadirai. Any takers on the floor? Go ahead, Jermaine.
Okay, thank you, sir. Yes, I'd like to give a brief highlight on the issue of the vaccine itself, taking an example of how some people reacted to the hand sanitizers, we had cases whereby people ended up reacting to just hand sanitizers only. Some people had their hands scalded and something like that. So I don't know, is this vaccine going to be induced to a person, maybe according to the type of blood one has got, or maybe it's a one size fits all thing? I don't know.
An interesting point you raised there. People reacted to sanitizers. And just on that, you know, I do recall a situation of someone else who also reacted to the sanitizer. But what the issue is now, you had all sorts of sanitizer makers that cropped up. You know what happens that, you know, this is the flavor of the month. So everyone rushes to be procuring and supplying and distributing a product. You know, this could also possibly happen, you know, with the vaccines coming in. We saw the other day that 1 million vaccines have come into the country. which is great. But there's a possibility that we may have some unscrupulous characters that start producing quotation marks the vaccines and distributing them. So something to ponder about. But yeah, in regards to the blood of the person, the blood type, I don't think that's the case. Now, I'm not a practitioner, a health practitioner, to be, I guess, to be an expert. But I think at the moment, here in Zim, the most common 2 vaccines that are available is the Sinopharm and the Sinovac, which has come through. So I'd imagine that one size fits all.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Revai, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe my contribution would be to the second from last question that was posed. I don't know the name. I've forgotten the name of the lady in terms of the preparation for the third wave. I'm sure some organizations have even developed that agents preparedness. Yeah, my network is a bit bad, but
that's okay.
Some organizations have developed various strategies. For instance, I will not mention by name, but there is an organization that developed what they called COVID-19 prevention and containment strategy. In this regard, you then look at how you experienced probably the first and second waves, then what were the learnings, what is the literature, or what is the drive, the current.
Hello, Revai. Okay, it looks like we may have lost Revai. I guess, hello, are you there? Okay, network challenges. Yes, I guess we've had controls in place with the experience of the initial outbreak, the first controls that came in. And then I guess what we term the second wave. But some of the controls such as social distancing, wearing a mask, hand hygiene, resetting our workplace, our line cells for production. I think those controls still apply. I guess, whilst we're talking of the vaccine, the added complication that can come in is that people become complacent. I am vaccinated, so I am okay. So we might start to see a spike where compliance to the COVID control protocols diminishes. So I guess it's practitioners, enforcement and inspection become the tools that we have. Mr. Njaya, are you back? So I think regarding the COVID controls, I think we already have controls in place, but the enforcement is the challenge or the tool that we need to use. What do others think? Are those controls still being utilized, or we've since evolved for better or for worse? What are we as practitioners experiencing in the field? Today is a bit of a tough crowd for participation. You see, if we're all physically present, we'd be giving out lollies, and that usually stimulates participation of attendees to trainings. But online, I haven't figured a way of how to send lollies to, to audience. Any other thoughts around the vaccine and the COVID controls that we currently have? Okay, it looks like we've exhausted this topic around the vaccine. Personally, I did get vaccinated 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks, and I'll be going for my second jab on the 17th of April. And I think for me personally, I think it's a personal decision that individuals have to make. Obviously, the influences are the fact that we live in a world with other people and we go to work whose interests are to continue being a going concern. But personally, I think the vaccine is a good initiative. It's something that we should take up. Yeah, it's for the protection for the greater good. There's no doubt, like anything else, there's always risks. But we should take, into consideration in terms of what the statistics or the health professionals are telling us and the like. So I urge everyone to get vaccinated, and good luck to everyone. I'll just check. I think our main guest for today has been caught up in an emergency at the workplace. I'll just check one more time if he's still with us. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping up unless others have another topic to talk about.
Mr. Fungai.
Hi, Ranga. How are you?
Quick question, Ka. Tell me about your experience. I liked the part that you said it's a personal decision and there are always some risks involved. But at some point in the discussion, we talked about having different vaccines on the market. Did you get to choose which one you want, or you just got into a queue and got a shot?
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that question. Okay, so I've been pondering. I'll go from the beginning. I've been pondering for a while whether to get vaccinated or not. I think I was leaning more towards the getting vaccinated from the beginning. So I decided to pitch up at Wilkins. Now at the time there's only the Sinopharm, the 2-shot vaccine. So there wasn't any choice for me. I got there, joined the queue, and got vaccinated. I guess at the point, it was just a jab, so nothing out of the usual. But on day 3, I think it was, I woke up with some sniffles, so a bit of sneezing and coughing and just feeling unwell. And that kind of cleared on day 4, day 5. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary because I do normally have reactions to allergies. But on day 3, from memory, I did feel unwell, but by day 4, end of day 4, it had cleared. That was my experience. And my COVID experience, tested positive for COVID. I think I was lucky. We must have picked it at its very early stages. So I maximized my exercise regime. I think I lost a lot of weight because I was running in the yard and doing all sorts of cardio exercises. Obviously upped the intake regimen of Zumbani, vitamin C, zinc tablet, maconi tea, honey, garlic, ginger, that whole concoction mix. But I'd also been taking some of that stuff for about a month or 2. So in that regard, I think my experience of COVID wasn't as bad as others. A friend of mine went through the real extreme or struggling with the breathing and the pain afterwards. And interesting enough for him, he actually suffered the withdrawal symptoms of the medication, because after he, his breathing challenges stopped. You've been taking in vitamin C, you've been drinking 10 cups, 20 cups of Zumbani the whole day. And afterwards, he did go through some headaches for about a week or two. And we think it was to do with the withdrawal from the concoction of medication that he was taking and teas that we have. So that's been the experiences for me that I've seen, or at least the experiences that have been close to me.
All right, thank you very much on that one.
Have you had an experience yourself?
Well, I didn't have a proper one, but I got a headache, a serious one. I'm still thinking about the vaccination part, but at some point I had a serious headache which turned into cold, then a sore throat. I decided to go to one of our local clinics, the ones run by medical aid societies. So the symptoms I was presenting were COVID-like. I was treated like a COVID patient. I was very sure that I had it, but when the results came, they were negative. So it was a relief for me, but I would love to put myself in a group of people who had some near misses with COVID. So that was my experience. I'm also leaning towards the getting vaccinated group. So just the question was just to get feelers on what to expect when I get to Wilkins. But I do believe the vaccination is a good idea. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Ranga. And I think everyone's experience is going to be unique to themselves. Whether it be the vaccine or the experience of COVID. I will say that one of the things that I found very challenging, I live in a complex and we're kind of separated from everyone else. So I was in our yard everyone in the area obviously came to know that I had COVID at the time. And obviously we're doing the isolation and the like, but I'd go outside for some sun. And I remember people ducking over through the windows and over the hedge, looking, and you turn around and wave at them. The people kind of wave back, but they are almost retreating. But I guess those are some of the stigmas that come with, pandemics and where things are known. So that was a unique experience. Is there anyone else who would like to share their experience? Or make any comments, additions? Hello, Dadirai. Yes, I can go ahead.
Okay, for the journal. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so I went for my jab on Monday by Wilkins, and well, it looks like everyone is now scurrying to get a vaccine because they were. I was number 336, which meant we were coming for the jab. Even by the time I didn't COVID symptoms, it's just the localized pain of having my skin being pricked by a needle. I just wanted to share my experience. I haven't had any sore throats or any headaches whatsoever. It's just localized pain on the hand
I'm
on which
struggling.
I got the jab.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you for sharing that. It was a bit of a challenge to hear you, but I picked up your number 300 and something. That goes to show that the numbers are obviously increasing in terms of people reporting for vaccines. It's obvious that the vaccines at this stage are still limited. The first batch that came through and the second one of 1 million. So we're probably looking at about 1.4-ish million doses. So those that are on the fence, perhaps tip over and go and get vaccinated. Mr. Njaya. So our main guest for today, Mr. Anthony Njaya, had an emergency that he had to attend to back at work. It looks like, I hope everything is okay, but it looks like he hasn't been able to make it back. So at this point, if there's any other contributions, let's put them across. Otherwise, we'll be wrapping up. I'm sure we'll reschedule our session with Mr. Njaya. Okay, looks like we've done some justice to the vaccine debate. I hope we have shed more light on on what path to take, but ultimately it's a personal decision for individuals. Thank you for attending. Wish everyone the best, and please stay safe and healthy. COVID is still there. We can brace ourselves for the third wave. At what stage, who knows when it will come. But some of the obvious facts that we know is that winter is around the corner. Today being the 1st of April, April Fool's Day. But the reality is that next month in May, we'll start to enter winter. And that's when we tend to get colds and the like. So thank you all in attendance. Our next session will be on the 16th of April, I think. Once again, we'll communicate via social media, LinkedIn, and I think now we've got quite an extensive mailing list. So we'll certainly share those. Now, the recording for this session will be found on Fanira TV on YouTube. If there's particular topics that you'd like, feel free to share. The email is posted on esh@esh.africa. So thank you all and have a wonderful day. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you. Oops, before we go, Mr. Ranga.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say that let's not travel if it's not necessary. And just a little bit back to the behavior-based safety. I once worked with a group of guys who did a behavior change program and broke the barriers between management and the shop floor worker. It's something that I think if we can do or foster within our organizations, it can help in improving behavior-based safety, because communication, even if you go to relationships, it is what it is a strong pillar in terms of behavior-based safety. So I saw the program, I attended, I was a student back then. I attended the programs, they were very fruitful, and people managed to open up even on personal problems that affect work performance. So behavior-based safety goes beyond this webinar. It is a big topic. It is something that we need to take up personally and foster in our organizations. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I would love to see you next time. All of us, please bring someone. Stay safe over Easter. Cheers.
Thank you, Ranga, for that contribution. The 2 points that you raised, obviously Easter. Easter is tomorrow. Traveling means that we are at potential of catching or spreading the risk. So yes, unless it's absolutely necessary, then otherwise consider to enjoy your holidays at home. And on the behavioral-based safety, I guess as the practitioners, we need to lead by example. And with this COVID and Easter around the corner, our actions speak louder than words. It's one thing to say another to the employees, let's follow this, let's do this, let's comply. This is the rules. And if we do the opposite, chances are they will not buy into anything you tell them in future. So thank you for that contribution, Mr. Ranga. Any other contributions, comments, remarks? Once again, I thank you all. And before we take off, just a special mention to our new team members, Tonderai and Dadirai, who have partaken and joined the team recently. And I'm sure we'll see more of them in the webinar. So welcome aboard, guys. Thank you to Teach. Thank you to Mr. Njaya. Unfortunate that the emergency took place. Obviously, he's needed to attend to that. I'm sure we'll reschedule the session with them. And most importantly, thank you to the audience for coming and joining us. Your presence ensures that we keep making the effort to maintain these webinars on a fortnightly basis. We hope that in May, we will shift to a weekly basis. If anyone would like to be a guest or to make a presentation on a topic, or they'd like a particular topic covered, you're particularly welcome. Contact details are there. And as I said, it will be available on Fanira TV on YouTube. And very soon we'll also have a website for the ESH where you'll find content and webinars. So thank you all. Enjoy your holiday, stay safe. If you happen to travel, don't drink and drive. And yes, thank you so much.
Sorry, we need a photo. Let's not forget the photo.
The photo. Yes, thank you for that reminding. Before people head off, I'll ask you to turn on your videos and we can take a photo of who managed to attend. Vani, are you there for a group photo?
Yes, yes, I am.
Let me just see if I can stop sharing. Teach, can you stop sharing? Okay, team, let's have our photos. Let's turn on our videos for the group photo.
Thank you.
Hello, team. Any others to turn on their videos, cameras? And we've got a few more people. Let's turn on the videos. Okay, Vani, when you're ready.
Yes, ready. Smile.
Smile, cheers.
Yes.
Thank you so much, team. We look forward to seeing you in the next session on the 16th. Thanks, cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys. Stay well. Mr. Jabango, are you there? No, it's gone. All right. Thank you, guys. Cheers. See you next time. Bye-bye.